Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 634, and today's date is April 4th, 2015, and the title of this episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief for Saturday. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, we understand back in 2006, 2007, leading up to the stock market crash of 2008, where they finally admitted, yeah, we have problems here. Looks like things are collapsing. Of course, we need to remember that the Federal Reserve, back in, I think it was January, February, they came out and they said, no, from all our models and all our statistical models and everything that we're looking at, we are not predicting or forecasting any type of recession this year, the year after, going forward, because we have everything contained, everything is fine. Just keep spending, everyone. Please, just keep taking out more and more debt. And as we know, the entire system came crashing down, and we never really survived after that huge crash of 2008. All those people that had foreclosures, short sales, lost their jobs, credit was ruined, they really never got back up on their feet. They never really got to the position where they were prior to 2008. Yes, are they getting by today? Yeah, they are. Are they the same as they were prior to 2008? No, they are not. And we can see the same U.S. government central bankers, they are doing the same thing with these subprime people. Just a couple of reports ago, we talked about how they are changing the requirements of bringing in more subprime people. They're not going to be looking at the FICO score. They're coming up with a completely new credit system score, which is not named yet, and they're going to try to drag in more and more people to the system, because this is the only way the system survives. This is the only way they can pump up the bubble. And if we compare what is going on to 2006 to 2007, right before the huge collapse of 2008, we see we are headed in the same exact direction. Right now, auto loans, the amount of auto loans that are out there and the amount of people that have subprime credit, the subprime loans are about $129.5 billion right now in 2014. Back in 2008, when everything completely fell apart, going into 2009, it went down half of that. Prior to that, in 2006, we were at around $132 billion. So we are almost there with auto loans again. And if they can get that rest of the other people in there, they're going to push this bubble to the maximum. And we know what happens when a bubble reaches its maximum. It pops. And this is just not with auto loans. We see the same thing in credit cards. With credit cards in the year of 2014, we're at $21.2 billion. Prior to that, in 2006, going into 2007, we were at around $27 billion. If we look at personal loans, we see the same thing. Right now in 2014, we're at $26.5 billion. Prior to that, we're looking at around $28 billion or so. And we have to remember, we also have the student loan bubble, the derivative bubble, the stock market bubble. And during that time, 2006 going into 2007, the stock market was reaching all-time new highs. Almost 4 of every 10 loans for autos, credit cards, and personal borrowing in the U.S. went to subprime customers during the first 11 months of 2014, and it's continuing. According to data compiled by the Wall Street Journal and by credit reporting firm Equifax, that amounted to more than 50 million consumer loans and cards totaling more than $189 billion, the highest level since 2007, when subprime loans represented about 41% of consumer lending outside of the home mortgages. We are there again, and it's continuing, and we're going to go way above that number. That means this entire system is going to come crashing down, because we have to remember they brought in the subprime people back prior to 2008. Now we're going after the subprime, those people who can't even get a loan with their FICO scores. They're creating a whole new credit system to bring these people in. This is how bad it is. And we can see they're continually pushing this. And this is why they are getting ready for this collapse. I mean, look, DHS has been purchasing billions and billions of rounds of ammo. They're nationalizing the police force. We see Jade Helm being pushed out to 10 states. Actually, it seems like it's being pushed out to even more states than we're being told. And right now, the Department of Homeland Security, via the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Department, is intent on enhancing its ability to bring unruly crowds under control. What unruly crowds? Ah, that's right. When this collapse comes, people are going to freak out. Those people who think that everything is fine because they've been believing the U.S. government, the central bankers, that we're in a recovery, they are going to be shocked. They will not be able to handle this. We have to go back and look at the movie Matrix. Remember the scene when they were telling Neo the truth and they said, oh, he's going to pop. The reason he's popping is because he cannot believe what is going on here and he couldn't handle it. The same thing is going to happen here in the United States. People are going to be shocked. They're not going to understand. And then fear is going to set in, anger is going to set in, and their survival mechanism is going to set in. And when they realize what's going on, this is when people lose control. And this is why the government is getting prepared. U.S. Customs and Border Protection intend to solicit responses to requests for information for less lethal specialty munitions for use by the Department of Homeland Security. So here are some of the types of munitions Homeland Security is looking for. Smoke canisters, an assortment of crowd management projectile cartridges, controlled noise and light distraction devices, and the always useful ferret rounds, which, for those unfamiliar, will blow apart any barriers that protesters put up. They will completely hit them, and upon impact, it will destroy them, and it will introduce chemical agents into the surrounding environment. They are getting prepared. We can look at Europe right now. We see Europe has a European police force. Spain, France, they're all training their people. They have military on the ground. And we think, oh, it's because of terror. This is why they're doing it. No, they understand this system is coming apart. We see London. They have water cannons standing by, ready to use them when something goes down. We see India right now. They have the green light for weaponized drones to control unruly crowds in the northern capital of Lucknow. We even see here in the States where they have the use of drones and they can easily be weaponized. All they have to do is attach the weapons to them, and they've already been experimenting with these types of drones. The U.S. government central bankers and the other governments in the private Western central bank systems, they are getting ready for what is coming. Canada, Australia, the Euro state, the Euro countries, they are all getting ready. Now we understand that Yemen and Ukraine, they're pretty much almost exactly the same, except for one difference. The United States and Ukraine wanted to oust the elected government, so they were behind the people. In Yemen, they already had a puppet regime in there, and they want to return the puppet regime to power, so they're not backing the people in that country. And Marie Harf was out there saying that, no, there is no parallels between the two whatsoever. And she went on to explain that, well, in Ukraine, he fled the country. He's not a legitimate leader. In Yemen, the president had no other place to go, so he left because of security reasons. Well, these are both the same situations. Yanukovych left for security reasons. The president in Yemen left for security reasons because the people were protesting, rioting, taking back their countries, except the difference is, in Ukraine, it was backed by the United States and it was completely created. They spent $5 billion. We even have a recording of Victoria Nuland planning the whole thing. They already had the people picked out in Ukraine. In Yemen, it's a different story. We have the Houthis who are fighting and want their country back. They want the United States government central bankers out of their country. So basically it's the same thing. It's just the difference is the United States already had a puppet regime in Yemen and they wanted one in Ukraine. That is the difference. And of course, the United States, they're trying to explain this all away, and they're having a very difficult time doing this at this time. Now, we understand that Poroshenko is pushing a bill that will declare martial law in Ukraine, and part of the bill says Russian citizens living in Ukraine can be interned, imprisoned, in line with the bill on the legal regime of martial law. According to a memorandum to the bill, measures on the legal regime of martial law include internment of nationals of foreign state which threatens to attack or carries out aggression against Ukraine. So they are getting ready to get all these people and pretty much arrest them. I mean, they are getting ready to push a major offensive against the Donbass region. And we see now, since the Iran talks are moving forward and it looks like there's going to be some type of peace, and we see that, yes, Iran, the United States, the other nations are all cooperating. We still have those government officials that don't want this to happen some way, somehow. They want war. They're continually pushing war. Now, I don't think the Iran deal is all on the up and up. I believe, that something else is going on, and I absolutely believe that part of the deal, which is not released to the public, because when anything has to do with the central banking system, that part is never released to the public. That's always kept a secret. And we find out afterwards, when all of a sudden they're selling all their natural resources using the dollar, that the World Bank or the IMF has come in and taken over the central bank in Iran, and that was part of the deal. And we can see that is the real part of it. The other nuclear part is all propaganda for Israel, for those paid government people that are being paid by Israel. And we can see right now the Pentagon is going to upgrade their big bunker buster bomb just in case the talks in Iran fail. We see NATO missile shield in Europe stays despite understanding that there could be peace in that region with Iran. So why do we need the missile shield? But we know the missile shield was never there for Iran. NATO missile shield is there for Russia, and this is why it is staying there. Now, out in Yemen, we see the Red Cross, the International Committee of the Red Cross, urged Saturday for an immediate 24-hour humanitarian pause in Yemen to allow help to be provided to the people. Because you have to remember the Saudis, the U.S.-backed Saudi-led coalition, they are just hitting anything. Civilians, infrastructure, it doesn't matter. And they want a ceasefire because they want to help those people that have been hit. Russia right now is submitting a draft resolution to the UNSC on the Yemen crisis, and they're saying, let's put a halt on this for a minute, stop the airstrikes, because we need a humanitarian pause to help those people that were hit. And we're going to have to see, we see Saudi Arabia saying, oh yes, we might go ahead and do this. Yes, this might be something we want to do, and we'll have to watch this very, very carefully. And what's very interesting is the U.S. is issuing new travel warnings, and they're urging American citizens to leave Yemen right now, which tells me that they are getting ready for a major, major ground assault. And they're saying that U.S. citizens should avoid all travel to Yemen and should leave the country, even as the U.S. government has no plans to evacuate its own citizens. All consular services, routine and or emergency, have been suspended until further notice. The updated travel warning issued on Friday said the department urges U.S. citizens to defer travel to Yemen, and those people that are still in Yemen, get out now. And this is telling me that something big is on its way. We know that the Saudis, they've been massing huge amount of troops on the borders. We know the United States armed forces have been giving the Saudis intel. They've been helping out. They gave the green light to refuel the jets. And we know the other coalition forces are ready to go in, and we can see they are definitely ready to make a huge, huge major move in Yemen. And we see here in the United States, as DHS is getting ready with non-lethal type of weapons to control the masses, Jade Helm, guess what? This exercise is not limited to 10 states, because we're having more and more confirmation that other states are starting to see activities occur. Connecticut, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and they're starting to see strange things occurring. And we're going to have to continually watch what is going on here. And we have to understand that, yeah, this might have come out and said, oh yeah, it's only these states, but they could be getting ready secretly in other places, like we're starting to find out. Like they didn't mention Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and all of a sudden Dabu 7 put out that video and showed that, yeah, there's an exercise going on there. We've had other people showing that, yes, something's going on in Connecticut, something's going on in Pennsylvania. The National Guard is being called up in July for Michigan. So we're seeing this start to spread here. And we have to remember certain laws that were already passed or executive orders that will help the U.S. government maintain control of the people. Executive Order 13603, which among other concerning things endorses Obama the ability to enact a civilian inmate slaver labor camp. Army Resettlement Internment Document FM 3-39.4, which states Americans are targets and can be incarcerated in FEMA camps. The National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, allows Obama to identify and detain Americans without due process of law. So we can see that they have many different executive orders, many different laws that they have, that they could and most possibly go live with what is going on. And we understand that there are patriot groups out there that are going to protest what is going on, trying to get the word out saying, no, we do not want this to happen. And again, we have to understand that they're going to infiltrate with people going into these all different states undercover, not telling who they really are, to try to maybe stir something up. And we're finding this out now. Most likely, they have already been doing this. These people are already in place, because we always find out the information a lot later on. The information is leaked when things were already going on beforehand. So we're going to have to keep observing, keep trying to understand what's going on, and we're going to have to keep everyone notified, because we don't want this situation to go completely out of control, where all of a sudden they have to declare martial law, suspend the Constitution, because this is what they're trying to do. This is the only way, and the only way they can figure out on how to control everyone in this country and to remove those people who are a threat to their authority. Because right now, with the Constitution and the people's rights, it is very, very difficult. But if you remove this and declare martial law, look at all the executive orders, look at all the laws that they have set up, and you can see the picture of what is really going on right now. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.